spotted over I was, I needed to do this the other day when we were moving cages, and we set up, I think, 3 more new cages. Ended up putting them like 4 inches off the floor, and like I said, it's just too hard for me to get down and reach in there and do anything with the animals. So, but there was so much cleaning up that had to be done in there and so forth that it took a long time to get this done, and kind of, like a lot of things, it took the shortest route so that we could at least get the animals moved. And now we're gonna have to do catch up now. On Wednesday, which is it's no big deal as far as that goes. It's just we've got to lift the cages up, and then I don't think we'll have to take the animals out. They're not that heavy, but we'll get these horses set up and the cross beams and everything, and put the cages back in there. And I think I still got enough room that we could double stack the cages. You don't mind, as long, it could be higher, the second layer, if we had to put them up there, as long as there's clearance for the ceiling. And I'm tall enough, I can see their water ditches and that kind of stuff, I think. But anyway, it'll be a lot better and a lot easier to take care of up off the floor. So you do a lot of stuff like this as improvements. That's what I was telling you about. With limited time and resources, sometimes you can't do this all in one stage. You have to do it a little bit at a time. If a person had the money for all the materials and everything right off the bat, it would be different. But some people have a problem with doing stuff this way because if they can't do it all at once and everything, well, then they don't want to do it at all. Well, around here, we'd never get anything done if we had that attitude, because we have to work within a budget. We have to be patient, use a little bit of patience to get this stuff done. Reminds me, one big farming outfit I worked for was a big tax write-off for a pharmaceutical company, and it really wasn't very much fun working for them because money was no object. They were actually given $4 million a year and they had to spend it. And with that kind of attitude, it poisons the people that work there. And It'll make a lot of guys that are not lazy real quick. Like in the shop, we had a whole fleet of 3/4 ton Chevy 4-wheel drive pickups, and we were working this farming operation. We were in a pioneering phase where we were converting sagebrush land into alfalfa, irrigated alfalfa land. During the process of the initial soil preparation, we were working in tremendous dust, and it took its toll on the engines. We even tried putting auxiliary air cleaners like a tractor up on top of the hood of the truck with a standpipe about 3 foot above the hood, and special piping and adapters to go down to the carburetors back then to keep the dust out. But it was, for a lot of the trucks, it was pretty near too late. It only takes, by the way, about 2 teaspoons of dirt to sack an engine, a car engine or pickup truck engine. Don't take tons and tons of it. It just might as well put grinding powder in there. It just ruins them. But anyway, the company had this money, and my training was rebuilding, and that's what I enjoyed doing, and I was trained to do it. And they didn't want us rebuilding anything. We bought engines in a box, you know, from General Motors. I'm trying to remember whether they were those Target engines, or it might have even been pre-Target engines, but they were, anyway, they came in a box from General Motors, and just took the old ones out that were actually rebuildable. They could have been bored. They were late model blocks then. Threw them in the junkyard, and we did that with everything, whether it was Caterpillar or John Deere or whatever. They just, no, money was no object. And you know, eventually I quit them, and it was a good paying job, but the money was secondary. There was no satisfaction working for these people. In other words, you don't take anything, take these engines out of the box and put them in there, you know. You don't get any satisfaction out of that. I was trained, my training was how to save money for companies, or how to take the mechanical problems they were having that were costing them and almost breaking them, and turn it around so that it became profitable again to use that older equipment and to save costs and not have to purchase new, to rebuild, and just be conservative. And it didn't blend very well with the psychological aspects for me. Enjoyed most, I worked for one outfit especially that I really enjoyed, and they were in financial trouble. Couldn't hardly make paydays for the people, and they were good people to work for. And they had a wasteful maintenance department already. And in fact, if it wasn't perfect, or if it wasn't brand new or something, they didn't fix anything, you know. And I could go to work for them, and I found out they had these several junkyards on the place. They had a lot of thousands of acres, and over the course of years they had towed stuff off to all these different places and parked them, and the weeds were growing up. I'll never forget, the oldest owner was about 75 years old. He was a heck of a nice guy, and one day he come driving in, and I'd been out looking in the field, you know, and I went out to work on an excavator that was working on widening out some ditches. And I said, Guido, I said, that old Army deuce and a half that's out there with the blackberries growing out of it, I said, what's the story on that? Oh, he said it quit running one day, and he said they told us that the mechanic told us that it was shot. Wouldn't run anymore, so he said we just left it right there. It was out of the way, and We never bothered with it anymore. And I said, oh, I said, they told you it was shot? Yeah, that's what they said. I said, well, let me ask you this, Guido. I said, I know you may not want to pay money for me to do this on regular time. I said, how about Sunday if I get one of my buddies here and we tow that thing over out of the blackberries and take it over to the shop? I said, you mind if we tinker with it? Oh, no. Well, go ahead, do whatever you want with it. Well, anyway, 2 days later it was running. Fuel pump was out on it. Had to clean the carburetor out. Been over there 4 or 5 years in the weeds. Get the mice out of it, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And we clean the gas tank out and everything. But anyway, make a long story short, everything run like a Swiss watch. The transfer case was good. We changed oil on that, rear ends and everything. Transmission needed some brake work on it, of course. Well, he come back about 2 weeks later. He'd been on a trip and come back, and the thing was sitting out there by the shop. And I said, Guido, I said, look at your old truck. And anyway, he was kind of proud of that old truck because it was one of the first trucks many years ago, after the Second World War, that had his his farm name on it, which it was not a decal. It was painted on. It was hand painted on by a sign painter. The second will I cut this. Anyway, went over there and turned the key on and cranked it up, started right up and running. He said, I can't believe it, that runs like that. I said, well, I said, next thing is, what are you going to use it for? I said, it's ready to go. Oh, he said, you know, he said, what we used to do with it, he said, we had a plastic water tank on there. And he said, when we were spraying, we hauled 1,500 gallons of water out in the field with it because it was all-wheel drive. It got 6-wheel drive on it, and it could get out there in the field and put water in the spray rig. He said, we could use it for that again. He said, because we're still, now we have to go over to the side of the field all the time. So anyway, that's the gist of that story. Over the course of years, I've had more enjoyment going and looking in junkyards and seeing stuff that had been thrown away by previous mechanics and maintenance superintendents and stuff, and actually digging the stuff out and fixing it. Whether it was welding machines that they had abandoned, or trucks and combines, I don't know, every kind of thing. Big discs. I remember there was a great big Alice Chalmers disc, and many years ago, folks, one of the finest offset disc harrows that you could buy was Alice Chalmers. It was super heavy built and all tubular frame, and for the most part these were made to be pulled by D7 and D8 cats or big Alice Chalmers like HD21s or something. They weren't for rubber tire tractors. And I found one of those that was laying in the junk, and see, they got square shafts for the bearings and for the spindles. For some reason, they got it in their head. They probably went to an auto parts store or something, or anyway, wherever. They went someplace, and the people told them you couldn't get bearings like that with square holes in them. Well, I got news for you, folks. You can still buy them today. But anyway, bought some bearings for it and found a couple used truck tires to put on the wheels. Got a rebuilt hydraulic cylinder so it could be raised up and transported. Had it steam cleaned, put a coat of orange paint on it, and come that spring, the owners come through there, and we were doing about 1,500 acres of seeding, getting the ground ready, and we had a big 4-wheel drive John Deere tractor that was pull like a cat. And anyway, it had it hooked behind it. And boy, I mean, this thing, it's got like, 3-foot tall disc blades on it, and that thing was just tearing the ground up going through there, better than a plow. And they couldn't believe that that thing was out of the junkyard, and that they'd done without it all those years, just because somebody says, well, you can't get that part anymore. Well, truthfully, especially now with the internet, you can find parts for almost anything, someplace in the world. I've even got bearings out of Romania. They were for mining cars, for hand-pushed mining cars, or they pulled them with mules. But we used them in what we call dryer cars, and it was the same bearing. And it just so happened that that bearing became obsolete here in the United States. Nobody wanted it, and it was the rights to that bearing were bought by a bearing company in Poland, and they made them over there in Europe. And anyway, even having them shipped over here, they were way cheaper than even domestic bearings were. So anything's possible. Well, I just put that power cord away, and as you probably noticed, I'm getting where I move less and less here with any ease at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call her a day on this project here. And that's the big problem with the progress here. I don't have all day to do it. I can do it limited by the, you know, the physical, or also the heat. I can't handle the heat. But I used to get discouraged about it. But my friend kept telling me, you know, any progress is progress. As long as you're still making some progress, it's a positive thing. And that's true. So now, I don't really get discouraged about it very much. Do what you can do. And don't worry about the rest of it. So I guess that's going to be about the end for today anyway. Thanks for watching.